Good morning. Good morning. Hello, everyone. How are you? I'm super excited to see you this morning. I don't know how bright my eyes are or your eyes are considering um, daylight savings time. I don't know about you. I feel like, let's see, edit audience. Oh, it would help if I had this on public so everybody can join. Yay. Okay. So I am going to put this over here. Yay. Okay. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yay hoo. Oop. There. And just taking care of the check. Sometimes it's crazy. Anyways, I don't know about you, but sometimes it seems that the I'm trying to get my notes together so that I can see them on this screen for today's chat. So I don't know about y'all, but daylight savings time, it's almost like, I went on a really great vacation and then have jet lag from that vacation, but I just have the jet lag and not the vacation. So, so if I'm a little bit like, that's probably why. I did try to sleep in a little bit this morning. I don't know about y'all, but sometimes it's just easier to do it that way and just be gentle with ourselves as we wander through this transition because everything has changed, right? Okay, so good morning, good morning, good morning. If you're here, say hello. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube and you're live with me, say hi. If you are watching the replay on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram, I feel like I'm the queen of all media. No, not really. I don't know. Just hit hashtag replay so I know to come back and say hi when I see it. Good morning, Meredith. How are you this morning? Oh, hey, Shoshana. Oh, and you're on YouTube. So this is really cool, by the way. I'm using StreamYard. If you want to know more about that, let me know and I will send you a quick PM on a link for that. But I love me some StreamYard because I can stream all the places at all the times and it shows me all the comments. So I see Meredith is on Facebook. This isn't me being psychic. This is technology. Meredith watching on Facebook. Shoshana watching over on the YouTubes. And so that's really cool. I've never seen it do that before. So today we're going to talk about working with your IBSC, which is my abbreviation for your itty bitty shitty committee, to not lose your manifesting momentum. And we kind of touched on this topic in our Clubhouse chat last week. And it was really interesting, the outcome of that. So I wanted to kind of focus this week because it's something like we can talk all about how awesome the spiritual path is and how glitter covered unicorns and all this business it is. And you get to go buy crystals and cards and all the fun things. But the reality of the spiritual path and the reality of becoming the manifesting maven that I know a lot of folks want to become is a little bit different in a good way. It's all in a good way, but we'll talk about that in a second. So if you're new and you're watching this morning, I am Soul Coach Michele. Welcome to the Messy Bun Monday. The messy bun is clean. I stepped out of the shower about an hour ago, so the clean. And I smell like fresh like a daisy, as my mom used to say. But I'm Soul Coach Michele, your friendly neighborhood super woo, and I'm dedicated to supporting you in your spiritual journey and manifesting all of your dreams into your life. So I wanted to talk about, how the spiritual journey, is kind of, but according to like social media and a lot of the info crack and like the surface area stuff, the spiritual journey and all that is encompassed in that, like comes off with like, oh, I get to go to the woo-woo store and buy all the crystals and get some decks and maybe there's a book on whatever and I get to do all these things and yay, and it's like a playground, which in the beginning it can be, but when you start doing the work, it starts shining lights, especially when we're moving towards healing our soul to heal body, because I think a lot of you guys, I know we have some Reiki practitioners that follow and all that. And there's that whole understanding of what our emotions are. If we don't heal them, can push into the body. It can also hold us back from manifesting the stuff we want into our reality or manifesting stuff we don't want into our reality, right? So we want to make sure that we're not coping, but that we are healing. And this isn't just about trauma. Trauma can be little bitty, and trauma can be big, and trauma can be collective experience, like whether it's 9/11, this pandemic, or other kinds of like Pearl Harbor. All of these kinds of things could be collective trauma versus little traumas, like you run into the edge of a thing, like the edge of the coffee table, and you hurt yourself. That's a trauma. It's just a little bitty. I just think the understanding of what trauma is has kind of like taken on a life of its own. So understand what that really means and healing those challenges. So if you see me looking off into things, I'm not looking off into space. I swear I'm looking at my notes that I channeled this morning, which when I was looking off into space. So I think we need to define two things. First and foremost, right out the gate, spiritual bypassing and actually practicing spiritual empowerment. Now, these are two very different things, and I'm of the spiritual empowerment school, and that's how I teach. So if you hear the definition of spiritual bypassing and this is no longer your jam, that's totally cool, because I am someone who practices spiritual empowerment, and I teach from a perspective of spiritual empowerment. Okay, so spiritual bypassing, what is this? There's a lot of talk about it. And to me, after, like just witnessing a whole bunch of stuff, spiritual bypassing is when you utilize a woo-woo concept as an excuse as to why you don't want to do something, or why something isn't happening. And the thing is, you're utilizing it as a block to your highest good. Sometimes we do this consciously, sometimes we do it unconsciously. And the thing is, when you do that kind of stuff, you don't move forward, you don't do the healing work, you don't deal with the IBSC, and, you don't move forward. I mean, that's just how it is. Now, the thing is, I want to be really clear about something. Doing the work is scary AF, okay? It is scary as fuck because you're dealing with a lot of emotional stuff. And so I want to make sure I'm really clear. I'm not going to be saying, well, you really just should be brave and move on. I get it. It is hard. That is some scary ass shit that you're dealing with. It's a deep, dark place. As my friend Jackie likes to call it, she calls it dancing with her shadow. And I think that's a better perspective to look at it if you're going to move away from the belief of spiritual bypassing, because spiritual bypassing creates victimhood. Okay. And I don't want you to be in victimhood over anything in your life, from your childhood, from a past life, from anything. And here's another thing. I don't want you to sit in survivor mode either. I know that sounds crazy. Here's the thing. I want you to go from victim, and you can kind of hang out and hover around in survivorhood, but I want you to move to thriving. And that's why I want to talk about this really important thing today about spiritual bypassing and practicing empowerment. And so when we are in that spiritual bypassing mode, we are utilizing woo concepts as excuses to stay in victimhood. That's a hard concept to accept about ourselves. Now, I want to be really clear. I don't want to blame, shame, or guilt you. I don't want you to take this on as blame, shame, or guilt. I want you to take it on as data to say, oh, the reason I'm not moving forward is because I'm choosing not to. That's how high level you got to get, and not dwell in the, oh my God, what if I had chosen to do this earlier? This is all my fault. Move away from that. Instead, this is your light switch. Yeah, you might put your crystals in your bra because you got to do the work and they're holding space for you. We're not putting the crystals in the bra to do the work while you go off and have another mimosa at brunch. Okay? Understand that there's a big difference. And I joke about the crystals in the bra and all the business. And I love a good ritual, but you got to understand its place. It is a tool. You are the power. Spiritual bypassing is giving up your power to a tool, another person, a circumstance, and saying, throwing up your hands and just saying, well, my ego got in the way, which is what we'll talk about today. Or the universe doesn't want me to have this. I call bullshit on that shit, because here's the thing. The universe, since we talked about law of compensation last week, the universe steps to the plate wherever you step to the plate. So if you are stepping to the plate in fear because you're like, I'm afraid to do something, and the universe doesn't give it to you, it's because you put out the highest, most powerful emotion of being afraid. And so the universe is like, oh, well, then we won't do it. It's not the universe is telling you something. It's you, it's mirroring what's going on. So instead of saying the universe is saying no, that's when you say, okay, wait a minute. Why is this not happening? Where's my data? Start doing go to your internet and do you a Google search and really understand what's going on. And that can be hard. And if you don't want to do it, that's okay too. Okay, I want to be really clear here. This conversation is for folks that are ready to go to the internet, and do their internet Google search about what's going on. Okay, and that to me is spiritual empowerment, because if we can look at this, take out the blame, shame, and guilt that a lot of folks kind of like stand on as a PowerPoint to get people to do something. I don't want you to do that. I want you to set that aside. If you are like, I'm spiritual bypassing, oh shit, instead of sitting and dwelling in the whole of that, dance with your shadow in the sense of, I want to practice spiritual empowerment because the only person that's going to get me out of here is me. Now, that doesn't mean you do it alone. It's the choice to step away from it in a negative way and step into it in a loving way. That's you. That's all you. Okay. So practicing spiritual empowerment, even when that thing is scary, even when that journey to move through something is scary, you choose to do it anyway. You choose to move forward. That might be, I choose to do an exercise I know about. That might be, I choose to, go for a walk and commune with the trees until I can get my head together. That might be, I call a coach, I call an intuitive guide, I call somebody like my Reiki person, I call somebody to walk the path with me because it's kind of scary to do alone. I know I have to make the choice. I know I have to do the healing, but I don't have to do it by myself. Like you can walk with somebody, right? So that's spiritual empowerment, way different than spiritual bypassing. So what I want to speak to today, those could be conversations unto themselves. But so I wanted to kind of give you definitions there of the two different things and where I come from so that you have a platform to stand on when we talk about the IBSC, or as popularly known as the ego. So the ego, in my opinion, and maybe yours too, has been made to play the villain, like Lilith, or eggs being bad, and then all of a sudden eggs are good for you. If we can look at our ego as someone that has been vilified by, if you listen to teachers, oh, my ego made me do it, the devil made me do it, the ego on my shoulder, all this thing. And a lot of things that I've seen is people trying to separate or disassociate from their ego as if to kind of try and carve it out and get rid of it. When the fact is your ego is actually a really important part of who you are. First of all, just to give you some groundwork here, your ego is the part of the spiritual divine trinity that is you, that gives you your individuality. It is where you get your free will from. It is like when we talk about source energy manifesting into the human form, which is all of us are one, but we have all each manifested in different facets of source energy into, like, I showed up with brown hair and brown eyes. Meredith here on the chat right now on the live stream, she showed up with red hair and freckles, and and we're both gorgeous in our own way. And Shannon showed up with her gorgeous sandy blonde hair that's ready to go to the beach, and her style that is so on point. I mean, everybody shows up in their gorgeousness, and Shoshana and your beautiful eyes. So this is how we've manifested our source energy into the human thing, into the human experience, right? And that way that you get there is your ego. That is the individual. That is like when we talk about yourself, your higher self and source energy, the self is your ego. It is the thing that makes you who you are. And because we are in the human experience, and because we chose to come here, and because this experience, if you're going to boil it all down and make it a lovely wine and butter reduction to put over some delightful chicken, it comes down, that reduction is that comes with it is the yumminess and the stuff that's not so awesome for you, right? A butter reduction is delicious, but girl, there are calories. So from that perspective, when we boil it all the way down, your human experience, your ego, that is you, the perfectly wonderful hot mess of gorgeous yumminess that is you, you have to understand that it is not bad. It is not to be disassociated from, because then you're carving out a piece of who you are. Instead, if we can look at it from the perspective of this is the part of who I am that gives me my choice and helps me work through my soul challenges through this lifetime. Because the human experience is the only place that you get to choose between love and fear, and the whole reason why we came here. That's the boiled down point. Is every single choice we make throughout the day, whether it's do I eat this cookie or eat this salad for lunch, or do I move to another location, like big things, little things, it doesn't really matter. It's love or fear. And knowing, and you might choose, no, I don't want to move, not because you're scared, but because you're like, you know what, in my guts, I'm supposed to stay here. And instead of running away from whatever it is that I'm supposed to do here, I'm going to just stay. And that could be a loving thing. So understanding, like, there's a lot that goes into this, but the boil down point is that human experience is love or fear. And without the ego, you don't get to play in that. And you also don't get to heal whatever's going on from past lives, from current lives, from childhood stuff, unless you have your ego to work with. Okay, so remember that your IBSC is a little, like if your ego was a pie chart, it's like 8% of what's going on. So to put that in perspective, and we don't want to take that wedge out because it might actually be helpful, because like when we think about it, we want to make sure that we're listening. Now, here's the thing though, I want to hammer this home. When you do disassociate from your ego, when we say, oh, my ego made me do it, or oh, the universe doesn't want me to because my ego, blah, blah, blah. When you disassociate that from yourself, you carve it out and try to get rid of it, what that really is judging yourself on a certain topic. Whatever it is you're talking about that your ego made you do, or the ego this, or we're going to blame something, that's self-judgment. It's like that quick impulse purchase to self-soothe through judgment of self without you really knowing that's what you're doing. Because what happens is usually you do that, and then later you like shit like, oh man, I really wish that would have happened for me. Or that instead of saying, okay, why is it not happening? And what do I need to do? Where do I need to engage my law of compensation? Where do I need to step to the plate a little bit more? Whether it be in investing in myself, investing time, investing energy, whatever you got to invest to get to the plate, to get it to get, what you want. Okay. That's what you got to do. And I want to be really clear about that, because that's where this blame, shame, and judgment shit that people talk about all the time in the whole area of law of attraction and spirituality is when we do spiritual bypassing, it's a self-soothing thing in an unhealthy way, because what happens is blame, shame, guilt, and judgment. And that's not what you want here. That's why I want you to be your spiritual practice to be empowerment and be empowered. Okay, so let's talk about some solutions, because I know y'all are like, girl, I feel you, right? Hello. Oh, let me just check in and see who's here with me right now. I see Shannon and Meredith and Shoshana. I feel like romper room. Julia, Deanne, Joy. Hey, y'all. I love you guys. Thank you for coming. Just if you're here, just pop in and say hello. So, you probably all are like, girl, I totally feel you. Oh my God. Yeah. Because our IBCs can go crazy, and then we don't want to deal with them because they're scary and they're mean. The self-talk is nasty. We don't want to deal with that, right? Oh my goodness. We just don't want to. And in fact, I think Meredith even said, I need all the help I can get because my IBSC kicks my butt big time. Because if we're going to talk to somebody really mean, it's usually going to be us. Generally, we don't wander around telling other people, like I'm pointing out their shit, right? The people we save that for is right here. And that's why I want you to stop. Because would you say that to the most beloved person in your life, or maybe it's your pet? Would you ever say half the shit that you say in your head to your pet? No, because I want you to really understand that we got to start treating ourselves with some love. And that includes our ego. And saying that's part of who I am. It's part of what makes me beautiful. Part of what makes me this gorgeous mess of yumminess. Oh, hey, Jennifer. Hello, welcome. And I want to talk about how can we do that, okay? Because I think that's really important. So when you when you see your IBSC as as more of your beauty mark instead of your worrywart. I came up with that this morning when I was channeling because I was like, worrywart, and they were like, no, it's a beauty mark. That's what they told me. It's a beauty mark. Okay. It's a beautiful way to approach a healing space, right? Because yeah, we have shit that happens to us, and on the whole, it may, like, if you're looking at it from a perspective of holistic what happened, yeah, it might be shitty, but is it a blessing if I turn it around? Is like when the flood happened to me, I'll use it again as an example. When our flood in 2010 ruined, destroyed our house, I to this day I still have people saying, oh my God, that's so crazy, la la la. But I look at it now as, instead of me being in that worrywart mode, look at it from a beauty mark space. Look at all I did, that I rose to the occasion, that I stood in my power and moved forward, and all that kind of stuff. So when you recognize your IBSC as a beauty mark versus a worrywart, that's the initial step. So let's see how we can get there, okay? So it's time to say to yourself, okay, when this is in action, think about a time where your IBSC was going nuts, whether it was legit or not. It was like you wanted to do something or you wanted to go somewhere, and it was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? It was like if you've ever seen the movie, oh gosh, I forget it's about the feelings, and you have happiness and sadness and anger, and like there's these little cartoon characters, right? And sadness was always like, oh my God, and happiness had to like turn her around all the time, right? And then they got in a big fight, but then they saved each other in the end. This is kind of the same thing, where sadness comes in and realizes that she has value, just like we want to realize our ego has so much value for us. Inside Out. Thank you, Deanne. That's the name of the movie. If you've not seen it, go watch it. Find it wherever you stream and watch that movie. It is so on point. And so we want to say, instead of screaming shut up at it, which is like mostly what we do, instead of being like, shut up, shut up, shut up, stop bringing me down and killing my buzz and all this stuff, right? That's what we say to it. And then it just gets louder, and it goes on for weeks and weeks, and you feel like shit and nothing gets done, right? Oh, hey, Helen. And I'm giving shout. If you're watching the replay, I'm giving shout outs because this is a live stream and you're watching the replay. But I want to give you permission, because I think this is something we are so on warp speed because of our connectivity and our work and whatever. Everybody's like, no, yesterday. I want to tell you, first of all, you're going to have to slow your roll. Okay. That's number one. Give yourself, and even your IBSC might be like, what the fuck? Slow my roll? Like, slow your roll. Because when we get in that anxious mode, if you want to see it as a beauty mark and not a worrywart, you got to slow your roll so that you can see the beauty. Okay, number one. Number two, we're going to have courage and compassion for ourselves. And we need to make sure that you look at the IBSC, and maybe you picture it as little you. Maybe you watch that Inside Out movie and it's the little blue person, whatever it is for you. Have a conversation with that, and don't have a conversation where you are dismissive or yelling or whatever. Like, be in beginner mindset when you go into this conversation with yourself. So you may have to take that slow your roll thing and slow it down like almost a day, a week. It may take some time before you can even have this conversation, and that's okay. But it's time to have a conversation and not blame, shame, or guilt our little blue sadness person or our little blue IBSC person or our little inner child, because we have to look at it and say, okay, are you freaking out because you're angry? And a lot of times it shows up as fear, angry, or worry. And the thing is, all of that boils down to fear. So even if you're angry, you got to recognize, A, your IBSC is freaking out. And then B, you got to look at it and go, okay, I'm gonna give you some legit time, because you're not freaking out for nothing. Legitimize what's going on. Don't shame, blame, or guilt. That's spiritual bypassing. We don't want that. Okay. And so that's when you have that conversation of, okay, what's really going on? I know you're angry. I know you're worried. What are you really afraid of that's making you so angry? No one's going to hear your conversation but you. So being really honest with yourself is really helpful in this situation. Ask yourself, what am I really afraid of? It might be a multitude of things. It might be one big thing. And it might be bullshit. Or it might be legit. And it might be, or it might be half legit and half bullshit, but you don't know until you have that conversation. Okay. And once you have that conversation, that's when you can actually know where you are on the map and plot your course forward. How and what am I going to do about it? If it's not a real thing, then you can be like, oh, no, I'm scared over nothing. That's silly. And then nurture yourself back. If it's something that's legit, okay. So what can I do to make myself less scared? Where can I, what is within my control? Because we have to remember control is here, not there. Empowerment is here, not there. So whatever's going on, what will bring, if I'm at like an anxiety of a 10, what will bring me down to an 8, a 5, a 2? What is something there? Would more information help? Let's not do doom scrolling. Would talking to someone help? Would getting, asking whoever, if you're scared to go somewhere, would calling a travel agent help, or someone who has been there before help? These are things that you kind of have to look at, and you can't look at them unless you have that conversation. You can't figure out how to nurture yourself so that this kind of calms down. And the thing is, doing these processes are healing whatever is causing that reaction so that it doesn't happen either again or as strong as it did before. So this may be a repetitive process, but you can't get there unless you have this conversation with yourself. And that might happen, like you might be great at this and you might be able to do it all on your own. You might not be able to. And that's okay. That's what I'm here for, And so the thing is, it is a choice to have that conversation or not. And if you're not ready, that's totally cool. If you still want to shove rocks in your bra other than your boobs and hope that they work, that's cool. I'm not going to sit here and tell you not to do that. You're just in a different spot on the journey. Okay. But if you've done that and you've done it forever and it don't work and you're ready to move forward, that's when you do the stuff that I'm talking about here. Okay. So if it scares you, that's okay. That is normal, totally normal. And, you don't have to do this alone. So like, if you are ready to do it and you want to come hang out with me, I think I put the link to here, I'll do it again. I'll put the link here. I think it's in the post either above or below. If you're on YouTube, there's that. Did I put that in there? I don't know. I think and I honestly don't know how this works. Maybe it works. I don't know. I don't know where this is posting. But the link is either above or below. If you want somebody to walk this path with you or walk through this with you, like guide you through it, I am here for you. That's totally cool. Oh, it did. It posted on my thingies. And so I'm here for you. That might be what it is. We might have to walk through this together. If you can do it on your own, that's cool too. If you have a friend that you want to do this with, that's cool too. But I'm going to encourage you to do this. Do the spiritual empowerment practice versus spiritual bypassing. I swear to God, you will thank me for it. And actually, you'll thank yourself for it because you're the one doing the work. So understand, but really understand what you're doing as you're doing it. Okay, I want to be really clear. This is all about honesty with self. Nobody's going to know except you. Nobody's going to benefit except you. When you make the choice, you are the beneficiary of whatever that choice is. If you choose to do spiritual bypassing, you're the beneficiary of that choice. You choose to do spiritual empowerment practice, you're the beneficiary of that choice. It's up to you. And whatever you choose is okay. You know why? Because you can choose a different thing next. If it doesn't work, you can come back. That's cool. But I wanted to make sure I laid both of these choices out for you because I think they're really important as we move through this new year, especially into the age of Aquarius. We're kind of dipping our toes in there, and you're probably seeing changes in the way people deal with things in your universe. And so this is one of them. This is one of them, that it's okay to start like shining lights on the inside and start hanging out with your shadow to figure out what the hell's going on, and how to move through that. It's not just enough to, know what's going on. The catch is to actually, work through and heal. And that's what the human experience is about. So I'm so glad you were here today. So if nothing else, I want to give you an inspired action for the week. And I wrote this down. I want you to encourage you to take some time out to really reflect. And it might be journaling at night. It might be journaling in the morning. It might just be making a mental note as you move through your day. Where is my IBSC shouting at me? And where have I been ignoring it? And then maybe giving it your attention. Like, granted, if you're in the middle of something, make a note and say, we're going to meet at 3:00 on Tuesday to talk about, whatever is worrying you, and then actually have that meeting. Maybe bring your journal and say, and write at the top, I'm feeling really angry, but but self, what's going on? What is the fear that's generating this anger? And then just write. Right. If you need to burn it later so nobody sees it, have at it. Whatever you want to do it safely. But I would just ask those questions and be really honest. Be brutally honest and be like open to hear what's coming out. Okay, we got to be open to listening to our IBSC so that we know, why are they being shitty? Why are they being shitty? It might not even be your voice. It might be somebody else's voice. And then that is in itself, how do we let go of that? That's a whole other conversation. But understanding, who is it? Is it me? Is it somebody else? Did their limiting belief and fear, did I integrate that in me and I need to let it go? Like understanding, or is this something, and then I integrated it within me. Yeah, I need to let that go. But now I have to work through the fear that I created in myself because of listening. I mean, there's like lots of layers here. This is just the surface. So if nothing else, I'm going to encourage you to be in awareness of when this is going on. Encourage you to have a conversation, an open conversation with your ego, with your inner self, with your inner beauty mark, and to not see it as a worry wart anymore. Okay. And if you have any aha moments, feel free to either post them below, or if you want this to be more private because it's something really personal, you're more than welcome to PM me. And if you want somebody to walk with you through this and to help, kind of facilitate you through this, use the link below and get on my calendar. I would love to be able to support you in this way. And I think that's it for today. I hope this was helpful. And I'm going to scroll back through really quick and say hi to anybody who's joined that between when I was talking and now. But just a reminder, on Wednesday at 1 p.m. Central, which is, I believe, St. Patty's Day, woohoo! We're going to do our Clubhouse after party for this discussion. So if you want to join the discussion with me in Clubhouse, just head over to Clubhouse, find me and follow me at Soul Coach Studio, because they were like, Michelle's too long. So at Soul Coach Studio is me. And you can click the calendar and the bell and all that business and find where we'll be having that conversation this week on Wednesday so that you can join. I also have an event in my event. So if you want to go and click, get a reminder, you can do that. And other than that, I guess I'll see you in the vortex really quick. Let's see who's popping in. Hey, Jennifer. Oh my gosh. Hey. Hey, Tammy. Oh, y'all, Tammy has the most beautiful artwork. And I'm still I'm looking and I keep going, I got to sit down and write all my things out so I can send it to her so she can make me a commissioned piece. And I'm so excited. Her art is amazing. It's so positive and loving. And Deanne, hello. And Helen, love you too. Let's see, Julia, Shannon, Meredith, Shoshana. Oh, I thank you all so much for joining me live today. Again, if you are watching the replay, do a hashtag replay and share your comments in here, and I'll come back and answer any questions if you have any. And that's it for today. Until next time, y'all, I will see you in the vortex. Hope to hear you on Clubhouse on Wednesday at 1 p.m. Central. And other than that, I will see you later. I love y'all so much. Mwah. Bye. Love you. La la. Mwah. Bye.